Gear is brought to you in part by Boston Pizza. Come and get it all. And Kings Park Speedway. We're kicking asphalt.
Good evening, everyone. 9 o'clock Thursday night, and that can only mean In Gear here on Access 7. I'm Joey Hadisbeck. Thank you very much for tuning in with us again. A big show planned tonight. We've got part 2 of Barry's automotive adventures from his basement. He's talking with 4 of the fastest straight in-line racers in Saskatchewan. Of course, we're talking about Glenn Sally and some of the other guys. Barry did an interview. We've got part 2 of that for you tonight. Next week, be watching for the ladies in their lives. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. I haven't seen it myself, but that's next week. This week, part 2 of Barry's automotive adventures with the drag racers. We have also got John Dulong back with Autofocus. We're going to take a look under the hood. John's got some very interesting information for you. Want to say a big hello and thank you to all the folks out in Saudi. I was out at Saudi Mopar meet on the weekend. Some great Mopars out there, some good-looking cars, including that good-looking Dodge Avenger of QC Racing. Good to see another Avenger in the racing circle. So thanks to all the folks out in Saudi. Look forward to next year, bigger and better. Folks, if you didn't go and you like Mopars, you want to make sure you get out to Saudi next year for the Mopar meet. Later on, we're going to be going to Boston Pizza. We are heading to the Ray Street location tonight down near the Southland Mall, so come and join us afterwards. It's a beautiful evening out. Maybe we'll sit out on the deck tonight. Bring your hot rod down and show it off a little bit. Come and see us there. And I would like to now introduce you to my special guest. Tonight, we are going to be talking about in-car video, of course, a little bit of audio as well, and security and navigation and all the fun toys that you can put into your car. Calvin Reed from Innovation Audio, thanks very much, Calvin, for being here.
Yes, thank you.
You guys have got to be fairly busy these days with all the different things that you can put into a vehicle. I want to talk about the in-car, obviously audio a little bit, but video really coming around. Yeah. And I want to talk about the Alpine Mayday system. Security, navigation. I think a lot of folks know the name OnStar, and it's somewhat similar to that, but it's a third-party option that you can put into your car, and it's going to help you do a lot of things. Tell the folks a little bit about it.
Yeah, that's correct. The OnGuard system is made of 3 major elements: a tracking system, a wireless communication technology, and OnGuard Response Center. And the system is OnGuard. It's a 24-hour tracking system, which all ties in with Mayday, right. And it has the system that ties in with navigation as well, so we can tie everything in.
A lot of what the system is about is security. Things like I've parked my car at the airport, I'm on the plane, or I get to my destination. Did I lock my car? Did I not lock my car? I call these guys. They can automatically lock it. They offer so many services, and let's talk about some.
Yeah, they can. They can unlock your vehicle if you happen to lock your keys in it. They can also warn and let you know if you're running low on battery voltage. You can also tie the system in with security.
Okay.
So if it is going off, you are notified. They are notified as well when the system is going off. You can also call in the center. So if you are leaving your vehicle, so when you do return to your vehicle, they call in. You have to give them your user name and ID number. If you fail to do so, you're immediately tracked, which therefore you can have the vehicle shut down if need be.
I was talking with the owner, or one of the owners, Steve, when I came in to see him the other day. He was telling me when you guys were at the Majestics car show, the volts got low on the battery. These guys called you, and then you had to tell them, well, we're at a car show and we're running it all the time. But
yes, immediately. Anytime voltage is dropped below a certain voltage, you are notified. And they can restart the vehicle up for you.
Now, a lot of it, again, is security. It comes down to window sensors, door sensors. There's even shock sensors, I understand, as well in some of the systems.
Yeah, that ties into the Alpine security more so
right.
than the Mayday. Mayday is really helpful if you're doing any highway driving, perhaps on holidays down to the U.S. or something, and you need some roadside assistance, or perhaps elderly couple having a little bit of problems.
Right.
Perhaps they can call in, and immediate assistance is provided 24 hours a day. So if you encounter a flat tire or run out of fuel, something can be done about it, so we can get some assistance.
Good. Steve and I were also talking a little bit about the fact that what you can do is if you're coming into, like you say, you're traveling, you're coming into a city, you were going to drive all the way through, but you've changed your mind. You can call these guys. They'll make you hotel reservations. They'll do the whole 9 yards for you.
Yeah, everything. you do give your Visa or MasterCard or American
Right.
Express number to them, so it's all billing.
Okay.
So if you need assistance, call in. If you need turn-by-turn direction, they'll be more than glad to help you. You can make reservations for a hotel or perhaps send the wife some flowers.
Right. Oh, well, even better. There you go. Oh, man, I forgot it's my anniversary.
You're in trouble. So,
Yeah, exactly.
Call in last minute, they'll look after you.
Kind of a one-button system. Tell us a little bit about how it works.
There's a two-button system. There's a panic button, which is used only in the need of emergency assistance, such as a heart attack or carjacking, perhaps.
Okay.
Second is just communication. If you are lost, you need some assistance for direction, or if you have a flat tire, or if you just want to call in, let the assistance company know you're leaving the vehicle, you can do that. Or as well as in-car demo.
Okay, right. Yeah, you had said that.
Yeah.
I want to show it to you. Hey, this is a great system. I want to show this to you. You can give a little bit of a demo, but the panic button, don't hit the panic button unless there's a problem,
Do
right?
not hit the button unless you need to. No.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can do an in-car demo. Yeah.
All right. Some more to talk about this. We're going to go to Barry's Automotive Adventures, though, so we'll get back to this, folks. We're also going to take your calls. If you've got some calls for Calvin, we're going to get to that a little later on, so start dialing the phones. But first, we are going to go to part 2 of a great interview that Barry did with 4 of the fastest guys in Saskatchewan. He talked with Glenn Solly as well as Bill Causey. He talked to Rick Nelson, and he also talked to, I got to look at my paper, Doug Hesh. Sorry, Doug. You're probably watching. My fault. But I got it in there. So let's take a look now at part 2 of Barry's Automotive Adventures with the 4 fastest guys in Saskatchewan.
And welcome back again to Barry's Automotive Adventures Part 2 with 4 of Saskatchewan's most popular drag racers. Bill Causey, Doug Hesh, of course we've got Glenn Sally here, and Rick Nelson too, and the gals, the women in their lives. You know what? This is going to be a great show. It's Part 2 of Barry's Automotive Adventures on In Gear. 4 of Saskatchewan's most popular drag racers are sitting in my rumpus room tonight. Rick Nelson, Glenn Sally, Doug Hesh, and Bill Causey. The one thing that they do is entertain crowds at Saskatchewan International Raceway. They travel to all points in Western Canada, and I know that they have big aspirations. There's a lot of dollars that have been spent over the past year in putting new product on the raceway. Ricky Nelson is probably one of the biggest attractions on any raceway in Western Canada. I dare say it, Rick. You've got a personality that attracts a crowd. You've always had a car that attracts a crowd. You've turned in speeds that attract crowds. A magnet on the race field, on the raceway. Do you like that?
I do, and that's very kind of you to say that.
One of the common denominators here tonight is that all the 4 of you have crashed. I was in the tower calling the race when I looked up to the top end of the track and saw one of the most horrific crashes I've ever seen in my life. Did that change your opinion of drag racing? Did it put a fear in you that you hadn't had before, or did you just say, the hell with it, I'm getting back out there?
Well, there was no question we were getting back out there. I actually thought we'd rebuild the car, but after I climbed out and saw it, I decided that wasn't going to be feasible. But it does open your eyes. It makes you realize that this can happen. Before that, I always thought it took a major failure, catastrophe to cause a crash, but it really takes little or nothing at all.
What caused your crash?
It was a chain of events. There was some loss of traction. It was in the right-hand lane. And I think the other common denominator you're going to find is that all of these accidents have happened in the same lane. But I will say that it's been fixed. The track has been resurfaced, looks real good, and I'm anxious to get back out there.
I want to just revisit that crash for a second. When you came to a halt, when you stopped, when everything stopped, what was the first thing you thought of?
I actually just thought about getting out, surveying the damage, and think about rebuilding right away. There was no thought about safety. I mean, I was very confident the car is safe. You don't really think about yourself. You just want to make sure no one else else was injured or hurt, and everything was okay.
You've got a new car. You've spent, what, 2 years?
A little more than that.
A little more,
actually,
2.5,
yeah.
3 years, working, building, pouring time, money, finding sponsors again. What are we going to see on the track?
We actually constructed, and this is all Regina built, a 55 Chevy Pro modified car. It's downscaled. It's roughly 5/8 in dimension. It's chopped, channeled, sectioned, tapered, narrowed, and lowered. Very unique car, very aerodynamic for a 55 Chevy, but if you look at it, it's still a 55 Chevy.
Learning curve in front of you?
Big learning curve. This is our own power plant. It's a 350 small block Chevrolet, twin turbocharged, fuel injected, intercooled. We have distributorless ignition system, 4 computer systems on the car, monitoring functions, keeping things in line.
I want to be like Tim the Toolman right now and go, ooh, 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 because it sounds awesome.
It does sound awesome, doesn't it? We'll have to get it running and prove it.
You'll be out this year?
We will.
All right. And as I said at the top of the show, Bill Causey is also here today. And Bill, you and I go back, boy, I'll tell you what, I can't even think. It's got to be in the mid-'80s somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't think you were growing a mustache back in those days.
Come and go, but yeah, I started racing up there in the, well, I guess it would have been early 80s when I started racing up in Saskatoon. And same deal, started out with a street car and you get hooked once you go up to the track for the first time. And
when you were growing up, Bill, did you like automotives? Like, were you into cars right away, like hanging around garages? Or
oh yeah,
what was the
right
deal?
from starting building models right up to getting the hot rod books, and I just loved it.
You're the young guy out of this troop here, but you are also in that enviable position where you're one of the crowd favorites, no matter what track you go to. You
Nice of you
have
to say.
you have one of the hottest cars on the track at all the tracks you go to. Does that bring any pressure to you?
Well, I've always tried to really do good because I'm running a Ford, and usually you're a minority with the Ford, so it is kind of nice to have something that runs really good and show the guys that it's as competitive as anything else out there.
Have you always driven a Ford?
I've always liked the Ford, so I've always stuck with the Ford.
What's your favorite car? If you could go back to when you were 16 years old to how old you are now, what would be your favorite car, either street or on the track?
The cars I've owned, or
Yep.
just any
No,
car?
on the cars that you've owned.
I like the present one I got. The Probe I have right now, I really like.
All right, let's talk about the Probe. What year?
It's a 90 Probe, Ford Probe, 514 cubic inch big block Ford. It's making 850 horse, and it's running the high 8-second range, just over 150 mile an hour.
That's good speed.
Yeah, it's not bad for a super gas car. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Now, did you build that, buy that? Did you have a lot of
No,
input into it?
I built that car.
Okay.
The chassis was put together up in Racecraft up in PA, but I got the chassis back and I built the rest of it myself. I've always been a hands-on guy. I really like doing the stuff myself, and I enjoy building them as much as I do racing them. So I really enjoy that.
So you spend a lot of time in the garage.
Mhm.
Sounds like a lonely life.
Well, not so much. It keeps you busy. You don't have time to be lonely, I guess. But, yeah,
A lot of friends coming to help.
Oh, sure. I've got 2 friends that go with me to the track, Jim and Darwin, and without them it'd be really tough to do. It's you need the extra hands up there, that's for sure. Especially in the long trips, you need somebody else with you.
And the advice and the support and...
Oh yeah, there's lots of advice, whether you want to hear it or not, and lots of support definitely. So.
You attract a lot of fan attention. And I'll go back to when we first started. I was calling the races at Saskatchewan International Raceway.
Yeah.
And pit passes were sold. Guys would and gals would roll up to the side of your vehicle and ask you all about it and
Oh, sure.
talk to you. You always made time for the fans. Has that helped you understand racing a little bit more, or has it helped you encourage new fans?
Well, I always like to, I kind of put myself in their shoes when I was just getting into the sport, and how much I really enjoyed talking to somebody who had something that a car that I would have liked or something like that. Especially the guys starting out in some of the street classes, or even guys who just have a street car and, hey, there's somebody running a Ford, they can ask questions like, I see you've done this and you've done this and what works. And I've gone through the learning curve on them, and I've busted enough parts to know what works and what doesn't now. And it's kind of, I try and help them out as much as I can, and there's a lot of general interest in it. And I enjoy that.
the probe is a pride and joy. I can see it in your eyes when you talk about it, that the amount of time and energy and money.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking big-time dollars here.
A lot of money. It is kind of tough to keep it going, but it really helps to get sponsors like Peter Klapchuk stepped up a couple years ago to help out, and without guys like that, it's really tough to do.
Let's talk about sponsorship for a little bit, Bill, because I think it's fair to say for every racer that's out there in a competitive field, we're talking Supergas, we're talking ProMod, we're talking the top fuelers, and we've got a couple of those kicking around here today. It's getting tougher and tougher and tougher to find sponsors. And what would you say to prospective sponsors about sponsoring a race car?
Well, the whole thing about the sponsors looked for what the racer can give you. Cheap advertising. Really would help if we had a local drag strip, obviously, for the local, for the local businessmen around here. But there's lots of car shows, there's lots of show and shines, and it's up to the racer to get that car out in the public as much as he possibly can, so the advertiser's actually getting something for his dollars that he's giving you. Anything, even shows like this. I mean, this is a great deal to get people and their cars out to the public.
We take a look at the United States right now. We take a look at the crowds being drawn by CASCAR, NASCAR. We take a look at drag racing in the United States right now. Huge crowds, 50, 80, 100, 170,000 people show up at a meet. And yet, it seems to me in Canada and in Saskatchewan, we're a little apathetic towards the efforts being put out by the race car drivers and the teams.
Saskatchewan's a little behind the times. You look at BC right now, and it's just growing leaps and bounds. Mission Raceway has just exploded. Right now they have 2 divisionals as well as a national open, which is unheard of. And it's spreading this way. I mean, Alberta, Calgary is doing really well. Edmonton is doing all right. It's going to take a little while for Saskatoon to catch up. But, if they can get their money problems behind them, there's no reason in the world. There's talk that we could have a national open next year in Saskatoon.
Wouldn't that be great?
That'd be great. If we could get a local track down here, we're closer to the border. I see no reason why we couldn't get a big race that would draw U.S. people out.
So there is a bit of a negative in drag racing in Saskatchewan.
Oh yeah, a little bit. There's definite traveling involved. I mean, especially if you're from Regina. I mean, it's price of gas to go up Saskatoon and back. That's not cheap by the time you haul a trailer up there and back. So there is some negatives to it. You really have to be able to travel if you want to race around here. But that's just a fact of life in it.
But you love it.
I love it. If I didn't love it, I'm sure not in it for the money. So you gotta love it.
Take you back about 7, 8 years ago. A Mustang. Somebody said right lane, Saskatchewan International Raceway. Do you remember that day?
Lane must be cursed. It had that wasn't the lane's fault this time, but the transmission locked up.
You had a huge crash.
Oh yeah, it right at the finish line. As soon as it backed off the gas, transmission locked up, and it turned sideways right now. It started barrel rolling.
Do you remember how many times, Bill?
I lost count. But I've never been that dizzy in my life. It was unbelievable.
I watched that from the tower. I had my head down. I looked up, and I saw the car wiggle and then just fly through the air. And we quit counting at 8 times.
Yeah.
Somebody said it was 12.
I remember going back the next race and picking up parts, and I walked for a long ways through that ditch picking up parts, so it went quite a ways.
You think about it at all today?
Not anymore.
Did you?
A little bit, just a little bit of fear is actually a good thing, and that's the first real bad incident I had. So the next time you're going down the track and things are getting a little out of shape, I used to before that kind of drive through it. Not so much anymore. Now you kind of think about it and like if something's not right, no, you back off the gas or you don't run the car if there's something not quite right. Now you can see what can happen.
Rick and Doug have both said the lanes have been repaved up at Saskatchewan International Raceway. I don't know whether the dip is there or not anymore. That's that infamous dip that everybody used to blame on everything. It didn't matter whether you won or lost. The dip seemed to come into the conversation. But when you travel down that track, do you take a look around every once in a while and go,
well, for maybe the first year after, but not anymore. Now I'm thinking more about the job at hand, not so much what happened. So you don't have a whole lot of time to be thinking about things other than the competition. Drag racing is such a mental sport that you're way too busy thinking about the other guy in the other lane, and when you have to beat somebody by thousandths of a second, you don't have a whole lot of time to be thinking about what had happened or what could happen.
I go back to Glenn Sally because I had said at the top, everybody had something in common. The entertainment value from all these racers you can't buy. the fact that they're popular, spend time with the fans, spend time with their fellow racers helping them out. And also, all four have been involved in getting others involved in drag racing, which is what's going to happen to me this year in a class that I have not had an opportunity to run in. But before I talk about that, Glenn, I want to talk about your crash, because yours was done in kind of a strange sense. You won a race. You won the race.
Yeah, I actually won the race. I was a little excited when I went through the finish line, and then just was second late on pulling the chutes. And like I was telling the guys, I was going to box me about 150 mile an hour sideways, and the chutes came out finally, and I actually thought that was it. The car was wrecked and everything, and I managed to survive it. Survive the crash. It was just minor damage.
Bill had said it's a mental game, and obviously it is. And when you
Yeah,
say
it's
that
a
you forgot to pull the chutes,
That's right. And they have a short stop there. It did taught me a lesson, though. I mean, now I know, like, if I get out of it or if the car goes swirly, I get out of it. I mean, I'm not going to go and kill myself or wreck something. I maybe was a little braver then than I am now. Now if something happens, I just get off of it, and it's better to be safe and walk away than have something like that.
you know, you also scared the hell out of the officials at the Edmonton race.
Yeah, I had them running in the bush too, Barry.
So let's go back to what's going to happen this year, gentlemen. I'm going to attempt to join an elite class in drag racing here, Glenn, with your assistance and the assistance of my friends in drag racing, some advice. What can I look forward to as a driver that will be approaching speeds of 200 miles an hour? What's the feeling going to be for me?
Oh, I think you'll get a big adrenaline rush. That's one thing for sure. I mean, but as you go on, as you get going, it's the first few races. As you get a little faster, and once you get worked up to the full speed, you're going to have a huge adrenaline rush down that quarter mile. And once you make a good solid pass, I mean, you'll get out and kiss the ground, Barry.
Or fall over?
Or that too, Barry.
Rick, what kind of advice could you offer somebody like me stepping into a class like Pro Mod, which is a very competitive class? It's almost an outlaw class in some cases.
In a car like Glenn's, I don't think you're going to remember anything. I liken it to a Jekyll and Hyde scenario. I think at the end of the run, you're going to stop, get out of the car, and say, what happened? It's pretty much automatic. Your subconscious is going to take over. You're not the same guy getting out of that car that you were getting into that car. I think you're going to find that.
So I'm going to grow up a little bit.
You're going to find out more about your psyche than you ever knew before.
Doug Hesh, what kind of advice can you give me here about jumping into this vehicle? Go for the roses, run for the roses, or take it easy, start slow?
It's a very fast class, and Glenn's is a very fast car. And I'm sure he's going to coach you well along the way. But yeah, take it easy, take it slow. You'll get a feel for the car and how fast you can actually take the car and still feel comfortable with. If you don't feel comfortable, like Glenn said, get out of it, come back the next time.
Bill?
I think the big thing is don't be too intimidated when you go up there. It's a lot's going through your mind as soon as you go up there. Go through it in your mind before you even do it. Take some time, sit in the car, and go through the run in your head while you're sitting in the car, and just get the mental part in your head of how to do it, so it comes into your subconscious, like Rick says, because you really don't have time to think once things start happening.
See, that's one of the reasons these four are probably, if not the most popular drag racers in Saskatchewan, are high on everybody's ruler. They will offer advice, not only to a rookie like myself that's going to start out, but they help in the pits. I mean, they'll turn wrenches, lend parts, and do everything else it takes to make sure that drag racing in Saskatchewan is competitive, friendly, and fair. Rick Nelson, Glenn Sally, Doug Hesh, and Bill Cosby, you look for them at a racetrack. SIR would be a good place to start. Calgary, Edmonton, Prince George. I'll tell you what, if you hear these names, you're in for the time of your life. Thanks for joining me for another edition of Barry's Automotive Adventures. Next week, we introduce you to the Racers' Wives. Life in the fast lane, what's it like for the gals? I'm Barry Davies. Thanks for joining me on Barry's Automotive Adventures. Knock it off.
Folks, did you know that 160 cars can drive side by side on the monumental Axis, a road in Brazil? It is the world's widest road. We often talk about the road that you can go as fast as you want, of course the Autobahn, but 160 cars side by side, that would be a little bit interesting, I think. A little different than Highway 11 between here and Saskatoon anyway. Time for Auto World News. Honda Insight sets real-world economy record. Honda's remarkable Insight Hybrid is already available here, but it is about to go on sale in England. No doubt to public awareness of the car immediately prior to its on-sale date in the UK, Honda organized a grueling demonstration of its economy that is destined for the Guinness World Book of Records. When it was over, the record car had delivered an amazing 102.65 miles per gallon. That, of course, based on the larger Imperial gallons in the UK, but that still translates into 85.474 miles per gallon on the US gallon, so fairly decent fuel economy. A Guinness World Record was part of the plan from the start, which required doing certain things to meet Guinness's conditions for certification as a record. That meant that the Insight had to make one virtually non-stop clockwise lap of England, Wales, and Scotland, staying as close to the coastline as was practical and completing the run in less than 180 hours. The final distance was 3,737 miles with 25 checkpoints along the way. So look for that brand new Honda Insight, 85 miles per gallon. Not bad at all. Daimler Chrysler eyes fuel cell cars. Daimler Chrysler said Monday it would invest nearly $1 billion in low-emission vehicles as increasingly restrictive U.S. laws crack down on auto pollution. The German automaker, a leader in super low-emission fuel technology, said the first buses powered by the new engines would be delivered in the year 2002, with passenger cars following in the year 2003. The move prepares Chrysler for California's zero emissions law, which requires 10% of the cars and light trucks sold there using non-pollutants in the year 2003. While battery-driven cars are one alternative, major manufacturers are scurrying to develop fuel cells because they offer better engine performance. Fuel cells produce electricity through the chemical reaction of hydrogen and oxygen. The result is power to run vehicles with little or no pollution, water vapor being the main byproduct. Daimler Chrysler spokesman Annette Klein said the company would produce at least 20 to 30 buses in the initial batch. She declined to provide figures for additional bus or passenger car production, though. So look for those fuel cells to be coming from Daimler Chrysler in the near future. And somewhat sticking to our topic, I have got the 10 most stolen cars. This I pulled off the internet, so I'm not exactly sure where they are, the 10 most stolen cars from. Regina may differ a little bit, but this is my best David Letterman impression. At number 10, the Ford F-150 series. At number 9, the Cadillac DeVille. Number 8, the Ford Mustang. Number 7, the Dodge Caravan. There's enough of them around, so that's probably why they're on the list. Number 6 is the Honda Civic. Number 5, the Oldsmobile Cutlass, and that one kind of threw me a little bit. The Chevy Caprice comes in at number 4. The Toyota Corolla in at number 3, and a tie for number 1 between the Toyota Camry and the Honda Accord. So, Calvin, you can look for maybe some of those cars in the next couple of days to come in and see you guys.
I know, and I'm one of them. I just bought an Accord.
Oh, did you? Okay. Well, we'll just take that off the list. I made that one up. Yeah, I made that one up.
I better get a Mayday system in.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Have you got some stuff in the vehicle or?
Not yet. It's in the works.
Yeah.
But Mayday with OnGuard, is the first month they came out, was responsible for up to 24 vehicle recoveries.
That's cool.
Which is very impressive for the first month out.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit higher.
You know, the police do what they can, but to be able to track it down just by some sort of recognition system has to make that a lot better process.
It is, and also the police can also give authorization to have the vehicle shut down if they can. So, I mean, it really helps.
Let's talk a little bit about that. My car gets stolen. Someone's driving, let's say, down the highway. Mayday contacts the police and works with them to stop the thief.
That's correct, and if it's safe to do so, and it's they're not at high speed of any sort, they can then shut the system down with the engine kill system. Okay. And thereby recovering the vehicle. So
they talk to the police and they look for probably a good, nice straightaway where there's not that many cars around, kind of separated from the pack, if nothing else.
Yes, yeah. We need a clear road. We don't want to have any vehicles in the way, just in case something happens, roll over perhaps or something. But yeah, nice and straight road, no obstacles, and then kill the ignition.
Oh, that's great. Folks, if you've got some questions, give us a call, please, 565-5376. You can see that up on the screen right now. So if you've got some questions, give us a call, and the lines are lighting up, but I've got another question for you. I'm a father. My sons aren't old enough to drive yet. Christopher, you know, likes to think he can, and you know, we get him in the seat and he steers a little bit every once in a while in the driveway. But I have a 16-year-old. I don't, but if I did, they take the car out and they're late. They're lost. I think they're lost. It's getting late. They should have been back. That's another part of the system, right?
That's right. Call into the center. They'll provide all the details for you. They can tell you the whereabouts of the vehicle, also the speed of the vehicle. So if you're a little concerned, maybe your son or daughter is driving a little recklessly, they'll keep contact.
Exactly, and you can get a nice little list and go, look, you were speeding here, and you were speeding here.
And shut them down.
Yeah, and shut them down. Yeah, exactly. All right, looks like we've got a call, so let's take that right now.
All right.
Hi, thanks very much for holding. You're on In Gear.
Good evening. How are you doing this evening?
Not bad. Yourself?
Good, good.
Good.
I was just wondering exactly how that the Mayday worked. Like, does it go by cell phone, or like how do they know where your car is?
Yeah, that's done by up to 24 GPS satellites orbiting the Earth. They only need 3 to get good location within 50 meters, but GPS and cellular-based tracking.
Okay, so like when you say you have to call in, you have to use a cellular to call in?
Yes, you can use cellular or any type of phone if you have a.
I think the button's in the car though as well,
the button's
right?
in the vehicle. Yes, there's 2 buttons: an emergency button and a communications button.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, well, that answered my question. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for calling.
Okay. Good evening.
All right. You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye-bye. So, what are some of the other features? Again, like you say, if you're traveling and you're a bit lost, you've got directional.
Definitely. There's a fee involved, but yes, you can call into the center. They'll direct you turn by turn right to the doorstep. If you have no idea where you're traveling and you need that assistance, they're there for you 24 hours a day.
That's great. Let's talk a little bit about the fees. We've got the list here, and it's not bad, really. It's $30 a month. It actually goes down a bit if you sign up for a year, and that gives you some basics, right?
That's correct. For the fee, it's an annual fee of $337. That gives you roadside assistance, emergency, as well as theft recovery.
Okay, so that's part of the package. If I get it stolen, my $29.95 a month covers that. There's not an extra fee that I have to pay if they use the system to find my car?
Well, if you call into the center, no. If they need it for tracking, no fee. But if you call into the center for perhaps unlocking your vehicle doors, you lock the keys in or lost your keys, there is a fee involved.
Right, okay. And there's some others. I mean, that's not bad. Remote power door unlock per incident, $16, and that's not bad. I mean, you're gonna pay that to a tow truck driver to pop it open.
Probably
anyway.
$25 to a tow truck.
Right, exactly.
So I mean, this fee is rather low in comparison to the cost of getting a tow truck driver and Slim Jimming the door open.
Do you have to have power door locks off the start? Is there something you guys can
Yes.
put in, or you got to have power off the bat?
It would be nice, yes.
Yeah.
You can also do actuated systems and
Oh, really?
tied into
Okay.
the system, just to pulse it to unlock the door.
Oh, great. Well, that's all right. So another feature that you can throw in.
Yes.
Good. All right. It looks like we've got a couple more calls, so let's do that right now. Hi. Thanks very much for holding. You're on In Gear.
Hi there, how are you?
We're well so far, I think. Yourself?
Well, I'm pretty good.
Good.
Good. I think you guys just answered my question. I was just wondering what kind of price tag there was on the Mayday system there.
Okay. What about to put the package in? I mean, you guys do the install there,
Everything's
and
done on location at Innovation Audio. You buy it, it's installed, it's serviced there. Everything's done on location. The cost for that system is around $1,500 installed.
Oh, okay.
and then after that, it's just your monthly fees.
Yes, you'd sign up for your monthly. You can sign up for an annual fee and pay it right full out.
Okay.
Or you can pay monthly.
Great.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for calling.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, we've got another call, though, so let's do that right now. Hi, thanks for holding. You're on In Gear.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Not bad yourself?
Not bad.
Good.
A real quick question. Are there any restrictions on the age of car that these systems can be put into? Like if you have something that's not necessarily classic but older, does that make any difference on the price or the ability to put these systems in?
None whatsoever. You will not be able to tie into your power door locks, but we can still tie into the 12-volt electrical system for vehicle shutdown. There's still the cellular and the GPS all installed in the vehicle, so it really doesn't make a difference at all.
Oh, okay.
Guess as long as you've got the battery, you're good to go for the most part?
As long as we have 12 volts, we can install it.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much for calling.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Calls like crazy. Let's keep going. Oh well, they're still talking to Ed, so we'll let them do that. Let's talk a little bit about video. That's something that's starting to come around, and you guys are starting to do a fair bit more of.
Most definitely, yes. It's taking off. It's a big craze right now. In-car video with DVD.
Right.
Full Dolby Digital systems in vehicle. Which is very exciting. I don't know if you had a chance to go to a theater lately, but if you have, you know the experience.
Oh no, definitely.
You take that and put that into a vehicle. It's very exciting and amazing.
What was cool is you guys have a demonstration vehicle, and we had it down at the Majestics, and Barry Davies were in there. Barry Davies and I were in there playing Nintendo, and you can get set up. You know, I mean, your kids would rather drive 9 hours in the car than sit at home the way that you guys can set them up.
They'll want to take vacations because they're going to enjoy it. They can watch their movies. They can play Nintendo. You can build switching systems in the vehicle so we can select what source we want. If one child wants to watch a movie, the other one wants to watch or perhaps play a video game, they can do that.
Oh, that's good. You can
So
separate it too.
happy.
Exactly. Kelly, let's see if we can get to that. I'll just hold that up for you. Here's a little bit of an idea for the folks that maybe didn't get a chance to come down and see at the Majestics. But Calvin, let's talk a little bit about that. As you mentioned, you've got 2 screens. They're in the back of the seats, and
yeah, what you see there is 2 6.8 monitors custom into the headrests or in the back of the seats of the vehicle. The centerpiece there is the DVD player, and up top that you will see the controller, which is a Dolby Digital 5.1 controller. Now that device right there will control your volume of your left, center, right rear, the rear left, sorry, and the subwoofer volumes, as well as delay times.
Right. You don't. You probably need a little bit larger vehicle to make this happen, or can you guys get this in some of the compacts? You know, maybe not so much with the TVs, or
yes, yeah, we've done a small MR2 where we've put a 6.8 screen right in the dash of the vehicle, incorporated the CD player, the processor, and DVD all in one unit, and right in the center of the dash.
Cool. Yeah. We talked a little bit about the legality of it, though. You want to make sure that it's not within the driver's view for the screen, right?
Yeah. That is illegal, and that's something that you cannot do. We cannot install and have it visible to the driver. That is illegal.
Yeah, we don't want them watching the movies as they're driving down the road.
That's correct. Yeah.
Basically, so I bring my vehicle in, and you guys take off the door panels, and it's all hidden. There's a couple of different options, though. You can go in the back of the seat. You can go in the headrest. There's also some others, and we'll get to them. But is the back of the seat the way to go? Is there a specific that you guys prefer to do?
Well, if it's applicable, yeah. I mean, if you can do it, it's great. It's out of the way. It's right in plain view of the passengers in the back seat. And if that's not the way to go, then we can do universal flip-down roof mods.
Right, yeah,
which you can get into in the audio box.
Yeah, let's do that a little bit. Kelly, we'll get you doing a little bit more camera work here, buddy. Keep you on your toes. By the way, folks, Kelly Heisler is going to be racing in the media race this Saturday night at Kings Park Speedway. Folks, come on out and watch that, as well as all the other classes as well. Full night of racing at Kings Park Speedway this Saturday night. Time trials around 6:30 or so, and racing's going to start at 7. But Calvin, so this is an overhead, and this I believe you said was the universal one. So this will go in just about everything.
Yeah, that is a universal type. I believe that's fit for a Voyager. That pod that you see in there is the flip-down roof pod, which is a 6.4 LCD screen. On that pod, there is a selection button, so you can select between different sources, video 1, 2, and TV tuner, which you can also incorporate into this as a TV tuner, so you get basic broadcasting.
Okay. Well, that's cool. So, you know, I mean, as long as you're within range of I'm going to take this down now.
Yeah.
As long as you're within range, you can still watch some of the local channels?
Most definitely, yeah. And it's what's really nice about this, if you go into some of the southern states, some of the local channels are very wide.
Right.
There's a lot of broadcasting. So you can pick up a lot of channels. Here in Regina, I mean, we have 2, 9, and I believe 11.
Right.
So that's pretty much all you're going to get.
That's all right, though. I mean, at least it gives you a little bit if you're...
Well, it gives you a selection. If you don't want to watch a movie, you can still maybe... tune into perhaps this show.
Exactly. Well, there you go. All right. It's no unique cable to get this show.
Yes.
But I know what you mean, though.
Yeah.
You can. We'll get to the VHS ones because that's another option as well, and some of the rentals that you guys do.
Yep.
But we do have someone we haven't had on for a little while. John Dulong from SciAst campus here in Regina is back with Autofocus. Tonight we're going to take a look at part 1 of Under the Hood. So why don't we do that now? Here's Autofocus with John Dulong on In Gear.
Hi, I'm John Dulong and welcome to Autofocus. This week we're going to go under the hood and do a few checks, things that you can do yourself to get ready for summer, to get ready for going for that summer vacation, trip out to the lake, what have you. Before we get started with the actual looking at the car, there's a couple books that I have. One is our owner's manual. Remember, we always harp about reading this book and understanding what to do and when. The second book I've got is the service manual. I have the actual dealership service manual here. It's a very thick book. There are excellent aftermarket manuals also available. Now, depending on how much work you want to tackle yourself, you may want to pick up one of these service manuals for your car. If you're just doing a minor bit of work now and then, check your local library. You might be able to get a book from them as well. The vehicle we have here is a mid-90s V6. It's a typical car, probably similar to your own. When we're looking under the hood, the things we want to look at first is the overall condition. Are there any serious leaks or anything we can see that could be a problem? If we look at the front of the engine, we'll see that we've got a bit of oil leakage, but you'll notice it's not running, it's sort of oozing a bit. So it's something that we have to consider. If we move to the back of the engine, we can see we have a hose back here that's actually leaking. This is part of our power steering system. So it's causing a problem, and that's something that will have to be addressed soon. Other than that, everything looks pretty good under the hood, so we can just start with our basic checks. We'll start on the passenger fender. We have our coolant reservoir. The rad cap under pressure is actually on this car over here. Now, I've already made sure that the pressure is released off of the system. Normally speaking, I'd be very careful about heat and pressure, and I'd use a rag as an extra safety precaution. But so you can see what I'm doing, we have to push down a bit on the cap and turn it, and it will stop at its first lock where it's loose, but it won't come off. That'll allow any pressure, if there was some in the system, to blow down away from us. That, with a rag and caution, we could be quite safe. We then push down again and rotate it to its final position where we can lift the rad cap off. What we want to look at now is the gasket material around here and in here. There's two sealing surfaces. Make sure they're not worn or ripped. If your rad cap is more than 3 or 4 years old, it's probably a good idea just to change it anyways. They're not expensive. Now, next we're going to check the actual quality and condition of the antifreeze. What I have in my hands is a standard antifreeze tester and a somewhat unique tester. The red tester is actually a specialty tool that's quite expensive. It's about $250. Not something your average person would own, but it is capable of testing antifreeze more accurately, and it also tests the new environmentally friendly antifreezes that are available. If you're investing in just an inexpensive tester and you're using an environmentally friendly antifreeze, this may not test it accurately. This is made for ethylene glycol only. So we'll take this tester and we'll actually draw some antifreeze out of the reservoir and see what the condition's like. Now, we want to make sure we get it right down in the antifreeze, squeeze the bulb, and draw the antifreeze up into the tester. You can see a line at the top. We want to make sure we're above that line. We can pinch the hose off so it doesn't drain out and lightly tap it to loosen any bubbles. Now we can see that the float inside is floating at a height that's actually quite low, about minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit, which is not very good. We'd like to be closer to about minus 50. So this antifreeze is clear. You can see it's actually quite clean, but it's just not of a sufficient strength, and this could cause problems. We just drain it back in. Now, before we go any farther with the antifreeze, there is an interesting little trick I want to show you involving a voltmeter. I've got my digital voltmeter set on a DC scale, and I've actually got the positive or red lead connected to a good ground. I've actually grounded it right to the negative terminal of the battery, and I'm going to take the common or black lead, and I'm just going to take it and I'm going to drop it in the antifreeze. Now, I have a plastic rad here, so I don't have a problem. If you had a metal rad, you don't want it to touch the metal. So I'll just drop it in here so that the tip is into the antifreeze. And you'll see what happened on the meter. When I dropped it in, we're actually seeing a voltage, which is almost 2/10 of a volt. Well, there it is, 2/10 of a volt right now. It will fluctuate a bit. When I lift it back out, you see the voltage drops again. What I'm doing is I'm actually measuring the galvanic action or the electrolytic action of the antifreeze. As antifreeze breaks down, we have dissimilar metals in the engine, and it actually starts to produce a voltage. This voltage means metal is being corroded right now in this engine. If, as a rule of thumb, if you see more than about 3/10 of a volt, it's time to flush and change your antifreeze. There is no real hard, fast number, but we found that about 3/10 of a volt to half a volt, it's time to start doing something. So given that this antifreeze is fairly low in its state, and it's also causing a couple tenths of a volt, it's time to do some flushing and some changing of the antifreeze. Now, before we actually change the antifreeze or do any repairs to the cooling system, we should inspect all the hoses. Now, the problem with the hoses on these newer cars is they're quite inaccessible, so it's very hard for me to show you on the vehicle what to look for. So I have in my hands a rad hose that's just been hanging around the shop for a while. As you can see, it's a molded hose, and our concern is how does it look on the outside, but also how does it look on the inside. We can see where the hose clamp used to be on here. We want to look for cracks or excessive bulging, which could indicate that the hose is actually starting to separate. The other thing we want to do is work our hands along the hose, trying to squeeze it and see if we can feel the possibility of any soft spots. If there's a crack on the inner layer of the hose, surprisingly, you can feel it quite easily. It'll be literally a soft spot, and you can feel the crack. So we want to inspect the hoses as best as we can. Again, if you're worried about it, they're not expensive. A little bit more involved to change. You have to drain the antifreeze, get it off, and refill the system back up and bleed it if there's any air bleeding that has to be done on your car. And that's something you'd have to check a service manual with. So once you've checked all the hoses, we can then determine, is it time we can drain the antifreeze, replace any hoses, put in clean, fresh antifreeze. And remember, you never add water or antifreeze alone. You should always mix the two, 50% water, 50% antifreeze, mix it, and then pour it in the car. You buy a 4-liter jug of antifreeze, get a second empty jug, label it to make sure everybody knows what's in it, mix two up together, you've got lots of antifreeze there, and you can use it if you ever have an emergency. Well, it looks like we're out of time for this week. Join me again next time when we continue our inspection under the hood. I'm John Dulong for Autofocus.
Did you know nearly 40% of selected plastic parts, such as fuel tanks and bumpers, are recycled from damaged or discarded cars and reused in other automobiles? We've talked about it a lot on the show, and that's just a little bit more information for you. A lot of the companies are going to recycled parts into the cars, trying to keep these parts around for a while, and it's a good thing to see. Yeah, I know, thanks. All right, let's get back into some of the in-car video. I'm going to hold this one up, Calvin, and we'll talk a little bit about this. We looked at the DVD players, but there are some less expensive ways to go as well if you're going to try and get to in-car. And you can see right in between the buckets that this console goes.
Yeah, right there you have a small, I believe that's a 5.6 with the, just the console with the VCR vertically mounted. There's a couple different ways you can go with that. You can go with a 9-inch which also fits in a console with the VCR on the bottom. We also have 9-inch monitors with the VCRs for rental as well, which is very similar to this, which you can take on vacation with you if you wish. And
yeah.
But very similar to this one right here, which will fit right in between the buckets or any spot available.
So if I'm going to rent that for the weekend, what do I need in my vehicle?
12 volts.
Really? That's it?
Plug it in, and that is it. It comes with the screen, the VCR. Plug it in, pop a tape in, and the kids are watching a movie.
How much for the weekend?
$99.
Cool.
Right at the store.
Weekly rate at all, or I'm sure we could work that out if we needed to, right?
Oh, no problem.
Because I got to take a trip to Calgary with 3 kids, and you know I love my kids, and but still, I think
Yeah.
it would help to have this. And I think that's what a
Great
lot of
time.
people are going to now. Why they're looking at this, you know, some of the younger guys and ladies are getting into it because it's cool, and for lack of the
Yes.
proper term.
Yeah.
But old guys like me, it's great to have for the kids in the car when you're on a trip.
Yeah, nothing better. You go on vacation with one of these systems, and it'll be very enjoyable. You know, you don't have the same old, you know, I'll be dad, mom. You know, they're not bugging you. They're quiet. They're entertained.
Exactly.
So they're out of here.
Some of the accessories as well, just taking a look through, it looks like headphones and that. And again, if I want to listen to something and the kids want to listen to something else, we can do that, and we can set that up with wireless headphones.
Wireless headsets, switching systems, yeah. So if you want to perhaps listen to the CD player or tuner,
Right.
you can do so. The kids can watch a movie with the wireless headset, so they're not disturbing or interrupting anything you're listening to.
You guys handle a couple different lines. AudioVox is really, it looks like, has really gotten into this in a big way.
Oh, yes, AudioVox has taken off big time.
Right.
I mean, the company has a large selection of products, everything from overhead to headphones, switching systems.
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, even on the cover, right, they've got a couple different overhead views and
Yes,
and
many
lots of different
consoles to choose from. We have Durangos, Expeditions, Navigators, you name it, we pretty much have it. If we don't have it, there's a universal pod that can be used, which we can color match the interior of the vehicle, and it looks very sharp.
Right.
It fits the decor.
Panasonic also gotten into a little bit more, and they actually do the DVDs. They're one of the founders
Panasonic,
of,
yes,
right?
they are. They're the founder of DVD, the first company to release it.
Right.
We have done a few systems with the DVD product with Panasonic as well as Alpine. Alpine stuff has really taken off with the young fellas with the in-dash screens that come out. Sort of a central processing unit for everything.
Right.
And they find it pretty cool because they can control everything from this source unit.
From the one, yeah.
Yeah, video and audio and navigation, soon
Right.
to be.
Okay. Does any of this tie into internet in the car? Is that probably going to be coming down the road and maybe going to come through on the screens or no?
Probably not. I can't see it.
Right.
But maybe. You never know.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
who would have thought of in-car
Well,
video a while ago, too?
in-car PC is becoming a big thing.
Yeah.
Not so much here, but in Japan it is.
Right.
So I could see it happening here in a few years. Yeah.
You guys do a lot of things down there. Let's talk about radar detectors as well. We're still lucky in Saskatchewan. They're still legal, and you guys must
Yes.
sell a ton of them.
We do. There's always people want to speed, so there's a need for it. There's always somebody wants to get someplace a little faster, so we can provide something to help them out.
They've changed a lot in the wild too, right? Because I mean, obviously the police radar
Yes.
guns have changed.
Well, now they're using lasers, so you have to have a detector that can detect laser, front and rear.
Right.
Laser detector, and also photo, which is widely used in Alberta. And also now VG2 cloaking, because if you go into a place where they're illegal, such as Manitoba and Quebec, where you're fined very heavily,
Right.
you want to make sure you have something that has a good source of VG2 cloaking.
So it's not only that you're going to detect the radar, but they're not going to know that you have a detector.
That's correct. That's a stealth. Yes.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's what you need. I mean,
what we
because
like, eh?
the fines in Quebec are very, very hefty, so you want to avoid that at all costs.
No, exactly. Some other things. Is there some specific lines that you guys handle for radar detectors?
Predominantly Whistler.
Okay.
They've done very well in the years past. A lot of magazines have rated them #1 in a consumer price, up to the $400 or $500 range.
Right.
Doing very well.
I get a great sounding system in my car with all the audio and video. Let's talk about the audio a little bit. In the Tahoe again at the Majestics, we had it cranked up. We were watching, I think it was Speedway or Super Speedway, one of the
Speedway,
IMAX
that's
movies,
right.
right? And the sound was awesome. It was in stereo, and it was just
Complete
great.
stereo. That's the advantage of going to 5.1. It's like going from tape to CD.
Right.
I mean, you listen and watch a movie in 5.1. It's very amazing because everything is now complete stereo. Left, right, everywhere. So everything's happening right around you all the time, and a lot of special effects.
Yeah, and you
Really
guys hide
fun.
all this stuff fairly well,
You
That's
don't
the
see
other
a thing.
right?
Everything's installed. Everything's hidden. You don't see anything. It's very neat, and it looks like it's a part of the vehicle.
Can the people come down? Is the Tahoe normally around and get
Yes.
that great demonstration?
Oh, definitely. Please come down anytime. We'll give you a complete demonstration on mobile Mayday, in-car video, as well as sound.
Back to Mayday for a second. Let's talk a little bit more about that. I'm just again reading through some of the question and answers. Why does the Alpine Mobile Mayday system wake up every 20 minutes when my car is not running? I mean, there's so much built into this, right?
Yeah, because if you have the system on 24 hours a day, it is going to drain your battery. So I mean, it has to go to sleep for a while and then come power back on. And if there is a voltage problem, rest assured, it's going to phone you and let you know.
Yeah, no,
so
that's the nice thing, too.
You bet, and you're not going to be stranded. You know, wintertime, for example, if you're inside, your battery voltage is dropping, they're going to phone you.
Yeah, no,
so,
that's the nice thing.
No need for a tow truck to come and boost you.
I think we touched on it, but it's 24/7 as well. It's all the time.
24/7. They're professional, trained staff, 24/7. That is available anytime. You bet.
Okay, good stuff. Now, it is probably based out of the States, but again, some of the pricing, even, like I said, we had talked a little bit about it before, but vehicle fine per incident, $16. So, I mean, a person is going to pay $16 to get their car back if it's stolen. I mean, that's pretty minimal. So.
You bet.
All right.
Another nice thing about this is if you're shopping, and then I don't know, it happens to me as well. You're in a parkade, and if you have a cell phone on, you can't find your vehicle, phone in the call center. They'll honk the horn, they'll call, car find. You can.
No, and that's a great thing too.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, so we've talked about the rental so people can come down. We've talked about the video. Again, all that is done in-house. You guys have been doing this for a long, long time, right?
That's right. And trained staff, top to bottom. Everything's done in location. You buy, installed, serviced at Innovation Audio. That's,
all right.
Regina, Moose Jaw, and Saskatoon.
Quickly, a little bit, what's the top end that I'm going to pay for a full video system, and where can I get in at?
Well, where you would start to do video would be around the $900 installed range. That would give you a 9-inch screen, hi-fi VCR, a little display to have it mounted into. From there, you can get into the overhead and the Dolby Digital systems with DVD. Therefore, you might want to change the speakers in the vehicle from the OEM perhaps to something like Alpine or some new products we have in-house.
Good stuff.
But anywhere up to $4,000.
All right. Thank you very much for being on tonight.
Yeah,
thank you very much. Folks, go see Calvin down at Innovation Audio. Thank you very much for watching. Christopher, Riley, go to bed. Everyone else, come see us at Boston Pizza. Bye for now. See you next week here on In Gear.
Bye-bye.
In Gear is brought to you in part by Boston Pizza, come and get it all, and Kings Park Speedway, we're kicking asphalt.
One more time.
Are you short on musical entertainment this summer?
Back a shot!